which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we got a couple things. I can hear the other ones pulling up right now, but first, we'd like to have Sergeant Hoover please step up for me real quick. He didn't bring Zeke because he was dirty. We didn't want Zeke to shoot anybody up. He gets a little anxious around crowds. But Officer Hoover is now Sergeant Hoover, so with his promotion, it was at that time that he was going to retire Zeke. Zeke's spent quite a few years with us, actually, 2019 to 2025. So now he's a sergeant, so we'll look forward to, he's gonna help us with our next K-9, stuff like that, but we wanted to present him with a plaque commemorating all the services Zeke did from 2019 to 2025. K-9 Zeke proudly served our community from 2019 to 2025, played a vital role in keeping our community safe. Now retired, he will enjoy a well-earned rest, forever honored for his bravery and commitment. And also, which is kind of a fupa or kind of a tradition, is he purchases the dog from the city of Susanville. The dog's actually his, but liability and vet costs and stuff like that, the dog kind of belongs to the city, but at the retirement, he purchases the dog. Usually it's $1 or $2. Sergeant Hoover would like to present Miss Mayor Schuster with $1.
Oh, yeah.
$1 in pennies.
Nice, thank you.
This is for you and Zeke. We appreciate it. Everything you think. Thank you.
Victoria will get you. Yeah, Victoria will be very accepting. Show your plaque, there we go.
Get the crayons out.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anything else?
Fire engine.
Okay.
I'd like to see your new fire truck.
Let's go.
Oh, the city ladder. Sorry, it's a new engine.
Hey Jake, how are you? I'm well. I'm just gonna say it like that.
I know.
Was that part of that COVID one?
If you ask really pretty, please, maybe I'll give you right.
Is it beautiful?
It is pretty. I tried to get a picture of the plaque, but I pushed the record button, but I had a picture, I'm sending it to you. I know, because I think he's a Dalmatian.
There's somebody else too.
I'm not worried about it.
Thank you, Chief, for that presentation. So now we'll move on to business from the floor. Any person may address the council at this time upon any subject on the agenda or not on the agenda within the jurisdiction of the city council. However, comments on items on the agenda may be reserved until the item is discussed, and any matter not on the agenda that requires action will be referred to staff for report and action at a subsequent meeting. Presentations are subject to a 3-minute limit, and I have Teresa Phillips who requested to speak.
No Sam tonight.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and council members and members of the public. Thank you for having me tonight. I'm here, Teresa Phillips, I'm Public Relations Manager for Lassen MUD, and I just wanted to update you on the event that happened yesterday and what will be happening going forward. So, as you all know, we had a system-wide outage. It started at approximately, I think, 11:45-ish, and at the time of the outage, we were receiving power from Honey Lake Power in an islanding event that had been planned with PG&E for a couple months. Those events take place so that PG&E can do maintenance on the Caribou transmission line, and they had planned that. So basically, that's a collaboration between ELMED, HLP, and PG&E. Unfortunately, HLP had an equipment failure, and we lost power. So we coordinated with HLP, PG&E, to get ELMED back on the grid. So that meant PG&E would have to halt their maintenance on the Caribou line, re-engage the connection, and that took probably, I would say, about 6 hours to get that done, which is pretty fast considering what they have to go through and demobilize and kind of stand down on their maintenance. So HLP, we've been in contact with them. They have made the repairs to their equipment, and I believe they're in the testing phase right now. We will return to HLP so that PG&E can finish their maintenance on the Caribou. It's really important that they're able to do that so that when we're more stable when we're on the grid. I mean, we're thankful for HLP to be our backup, and they have been for many years, and it's been a great partnership. PG&E will maintain the Caribou line so that it's ready to serve us this summer especially. So fingers crossed they get all of that done. The islanding event was scheduled, we started on March 31st and it was scheduled to go to April 13th. So we're hoping that we are back on the grid by April 13th so that HLP can continue their spring scheduled maintenance so they can get ready for the coming year. We will be letting folks know. I know there was some concern that we did not alert folks that we were on the island with HLP. We've had several islanding events this year and they usually go really smooth and everything is great and no one knows the difference and you know, we're like, yeah, everything is done. This just happened, you know, HLP is a giant machine and machines sometimes have failures. So they are working diligently to get back online and we appreciate that. So PG&E will continue with their planned maintenance. We'll let the community know when we're back on what we call the island with HLP so that if they do want to prepare for any kind of event, they'll be ready to do that. So I'm happy to answer any questions if you have any, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we're gonna, when you say go to the island, we're not gonna lose power, right?
No, when we have planned islanding events, it basically it's just this coordinated effort. It's seamless. PG&E disconnects and we connect with HLP and it goes really smoothly. Now, when we have an event like we did last summer with the Thompson fire, PG&E suddenly dropped us. That will kick HLP offline, and then that takes longer, you know, to get back on. I think that event was like 23 hours. That was a long outage, and we don't want to go through that. But yeah, most of those events are just seamless, and nobody knows the difference. And the three entities are coordinating, and everybody stays in power. So we don't anticipate any interruptions in power, but it's always a possibility. So it's great when people can be prepared, and you know, the businesses in town that have generators always step up their efforts. IGA, Diamond Mountain Casino, Pizza Factory, I know that they sold out of food yesterday, and we work with the schools too to let them know what's going on. So, you know, I'm available if you guys ever have any questions. Call me at Elmed. Curtis has my cell phone number. Definitely call me on my cell phone too if you need to talk to me. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for that.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thanks to you and your staff for figuring out how to coordinate, because I know how much coordination goes into planning the islanding and then de-planning the islanding. I'm sure Court was not sleeping very much during the whole event.
And our linemen were all on standby, you know, and they had some sleep time today. But the returning to the grid went pretty smooth, and I think everybody was back up by 7:45 last night.
Yeah, I know how hard you and all the staff over there work to keep that going, so thank you.
It is all hands on deck, yes. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? Yes. Just supposed to ask you for your name and address, but
Amy, you working here? Can you hear me?
no. We heard her.
Hello. Amy Hawley, Susanville. So, I just wanted to address this subject with you. I noticed at the last meeting you were talking about strategic planning and things like that, and this fits right in there with it. So I wanted to say, I have before me a petition with about 300 signatures, which contains the following request. The undersigned formally requests the Susanville City Council to promptly direct staff to replace microphones, as we have hearing impaired folks whom are unable to keep up with the constant sound interruptions. Utilize the City Council meeting Facebook page to live stream the meeting onto that page, so followers may be alerted when the meeting starts, and so the followers may contribute to many of the important conversations which take place. And also use the City Council page to regularly update all of us on community issues. For example, the demolition that's going on uptown. Not everybody probably tuned into the last meeting, and a lot of people get their news, unfortunately, from Facebook. So that would be an example. Currently, there's a great big blue button on your homepage that says you pay your utility bill here. It's on the cityofsusanville.net webpage. Place a big button on the homepage which reads View Videos. You have a tiny little link that reads Agenda, and that is not user-friendly. Please make the videos easier to access. In conclusion, the council and city administration have spoken, or some administrator have spoken about the importance of an informed and engaged community. One of the goals is to be results driven with limited expense. This request aligns with this goal. The fact that hundreds of people are willing to sign this petition can tell you how important this request is. And there's a lot of people that they're immunocompromised, they can't make it. There are people that have disabilities that can't make it. So this would be a real step of goodwill to the people. So thank you for your time. I'm going to hand this over to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else?
Will you leave this on the record to add that to the
Yes.
record? Thank you.
Now, this is kind of a complaint about the microphones, but these seem awesome. Did you replace them? This doesn't seem like, these are the same old ones? Same ones?
Yes.
Okay, I thought they sounded great. Anyway, I'll go ahead with this because I had a point to make. Sound quality is critical. Some of us are straining to understand, some are mishearing. In 2023, I spoke to the council. I want to read you just one sentence from that transcript. I am a transcript speaker and I keep my records. This is what I said. I said I have the complete list of everyone who received those farm-to-school grants and their project summaries. I've read them all. A week ago, when I was reelected as planning commissioner at a county board of supervisors meeting, Chris Cole spoke and said that I had claimed to have vetted every Cal Farm grant recipient, and one of them was a South American drug lord. Wow. I read them all, vetted them all. The grants were already done. There's no reason for anyone, certainly not me, to be vetting anyone. I'm going to give Mr. Cole the benefit of the doubt and blame this on your poor microphones, except tonight they seem really clear to me, so there you go. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, I don't see anyone, so we will move on to the consent calendar. All matters listed under the consent calendar are considered to be routine by the city council. There will be no separate discussion on these items. Any member of the public or the city council may request removal of any item from the consent calendar to be considered separately. Council, anything to be removed? Public. Okay then, I'm looking for a motion to approve that.
Motion to approve. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carried unanimously. Now we're moving on to council announcements. Council, do you guys have any announcements?
As usual. So please allow me to acknowledge that we are on the ancestral and contemporary homelands of the mighty Paiute Pit River and Washoe people of the Susanville Indian Rancheria, where the city of Susanville is located.
Thank you. All right, we'll move on to new business then. We're on page 36 of our agenda if you're following. Item 9A is to consider the use of our civic contribution funds from the remaining discretionary allocation of $1,000. And this evening, Dan Newton will be presenting that. Mr. Newton.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor, members of council. At the last city council meeting, council provided direction to staff to bring back an item for consideration regarding the disbursement of portions of different council members' discretionary funds. And so at that meeting, which was March 19th, Mayor Schuster requested that $300 of her discretionary fund be allocated to the annual fishing derby. Mayor Pro Tem Brown requested that $500 of his annual discretionary funds be allocated to the annual fishing derby. Councilmember Bortle requested that $500 be allocated to the Susanville Indian Rancheria's powwow. And then Councilmember Don Miller requested that $500 be allocated to the annual fishing derby. So the way this process works is the full council has to vote on these allocations. And so a council member will basically make the request that it be agendized. The item comes before council. Council would by motion act to approve or the request as presented in the staff report, or the motion as presented in the staff report, or could always make a different motion. So the action requested is for funds from the discretionary allocation of each council member. That is $1,000 annually.
Okay, thank you. Council, any other questions? Okay, public, questions or comments on this? All right, then. We need a motion and a second to discuss this. I'll move.
I'll second.
All right, any discussion on this item? Okay then, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Item 9B is to consider resolution number 25-6416, and that's Bob Godwin, our Public Works Director.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is to consider resolution number 25-6416, granting the Lassen Fire Safe Council permission to conduct fuel treatments on City of Susanville property. The Lassen County Fire Safe Council Incorporated is working with local governments and private landowners north of Susanville from Paiute Lane to County Road A1, which is Eagle Lake Road, to reduce abundant hazardous fuel load. They're requesting permission from the City of Susanville to conduct fuel treatments on a portion of City Susanville property. The APN number 101-050-053-000, which is near Bagwell Springs. The work will consist of reducing the fuel load hazards through both mechanical and manual treatments. They're going to be working from March of 2025 through March of 2030, and they have done the CEQA documents for this and done all of the state clearinghouse requirements. They are working under a permit, CCR 1038, for forest practice rules exemptions. That's filed with CAL FIRE prior to commencement of operations, and they are under the direction of a registered professional forester employed by the Lassen Fire Safe Council. They don't charge us for this, and we're asking for a motion to approve resolution number 25-6416, granting the Lassen County Fire Safe Council permission to conduct fuel treatments on City of Susanville property.
Okay, thank you. Council, clarifying questions for Mr. Godwin? All right, public, any questions or comments on this item? All right, is there a motion to approve it then?
Motion to approve resolution 25-6416.
Second.
Okay, is there any discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried unanimously.
Thank you.
Item 9C. Item 9C is to consider approving modifications to the City of Susanville's organizational structure, and that is Dan Newton, our city manager.
Okay, thank you, Madam Mayor, members of council. I want to start by just pointing out that for this item, we're looking for direction, and we would take the council's direction. There's a couple of items, if the council directs staff to move forward, that we would need to do before we bring this back for approval. One is that we would need to develop a side letter with the firefighters unit regarding some of the proposed changes to some of the firefighter positions. And then we would also want to meet and confer with our Police Officers Association on the proposed organizational chart. And so I was just going to kind of walk through some of the proposed changes so that the council is aware of what we're proposing to do. And then I've asked Chief Bollinger to also be on standby to answer questions regarding some of the potential benefits of the proposed changes. We have, I'll just bring it up, we have an organizational chart that was approved in December of 2023. And so it's going to be a little bit difficult to read, but we've got these departments that currently exist within the city. We have the Administrative Services Department, we have a Public Safety Admin, which is the the umbrella over the fire and the police departments. We have the Public Works Department, Fire Department, Police Department, Economic Development Department, City Clerk, and the City Fire Department. And so, under most of the organizational structure changes are going to be under the fire and the police department that are being proposed. We do have a couple of proposed changes in the administrative services department that we want to talk about. One is moving this staff assistant position over to the city clerk. So we're not adding a position here, we're just having it report to a different supervisor. And a lot of the duties are going to be the same because it supports the administration functions upstairs at City Hall. So this position was also highly structured to support the city clerk's office and the city administrator's department as well. So nothing's really changing with the job description, just the supervising department. And then we want to pull the golf course underneath the assistant to the city administrator, which is now the deputy city administrator. When we look at our org chart, we pay attention to what's called span of control. So we try to get each supervisor within our organization to have between 5 to 6 direct reports. If we get much higher than that, we lose, I think, a lot of operational efficiencies. So some of those changes are designed to address the direct report numbers. As we look into the public safety department and the fire department, we have our public safety chief and 2 admin assistants. We've got this particular position was titled to be determined. So when this was adopted initially, the concept was we were combining the police chief and the fire chief into one public safety chief position, and to bolster the administrative functions in each department, we would have essentially 2 assistant chiefs, or one would be assistant chief and one might be a battalion chief. And so we weren't sure really how that structure was going to best fit the department. So what we did is we met and conferred with the firefighters unit and got their input on this proposed org structure. And so what came back is what I'll present in the next slide. But we also have, in the police department, we had 2 lieutenants. So we accomplished 2 lieutenants by we had 4 sergeants. We took one of the 4 sergeants and reclassified that sergeant to a lieutenant. And then we, as part of the public safety chief consolidation, we added a police officer to the police department, right? So with the consolidating the police and the fire, the police chief and the fire chief into a public safety chief, that kind of took 2 positions into one. And so, but we added 2 positions back, so we had a net increase of 1 position as a result of that change, if that makes sense. And so, let me go to any questions on the existing org chart. So what we're trying to do is change it, and the most significant change that I think we're making or proposing at this time is going to, it looks a little different, but so here we still have, a public safety chief. We have an admin assistant that's primarily assigned to the police department, and an admin assistant assigned to the fire department. So we still have the 2 lieutenants, the 3 sergeants, but the proposal is to essentially net another position that would be a more boots on the ground position. So we're proposing to take that second administrative level position that was to be determined on the previous org chart and convert it into a firefighter, and then take this police officer position and convert it into a firefighter, and then add another firefighter. So we would take, so then we're taking 2 positions directly over, and then we're adding another position. So the cost savings between the administrative, fire position, as well as the police officer position, will cover the a substantial amount of the increase of adding 3 firefighters. We're estimating it would be about $40,000 addition to fully add the 3rd firefighter. But what this allows us to do is right now at the fire department we have 2O staffing, it's called. So we have basically 2 full-time firefighters on shift 24 hours a day. When there's a call, they can roll as quickly as they're able to. But they have to wait for somebody else to show up, say it's a fire, before they can actually go into the building per se and fight the fire. And so having an extra person on shift allows them to basically respond to the incident in the field immediately in those types of situations. So it really bolsters the fire department's functionality and service. And so, and this is a structure that was requested by the firefighters unit as well. There's also a potential increase in our capacity to deploy on out-of-area fires if we have this extra position. And so I'd like to ask Chief Bollinger to talk about that a little bit. But if we can implement that part of the plan successfully, that $40,000 increase should be absorbed by the revenue that we generate from dispatching or deploying on out-of-area fires. So that'll turn it over to Chief Bollinger.
So the big question, obviously, on your mind is going to be why would we add a 3rd? So just besides the safety aspect of it, you've got 3 firefighters on a rig now. We're not having to wait that extra 2 to 5 minutes of making entry into a residence and we respond to a structure fire here in town. The big one is we make a lot of money on out-of-area fires. Last summer, we turned down probably 80% of the requests. We just couldn't staff an engine to go anywhere. When we did send somebody out of the area, twice last year, the big one down south, we were only there for, I believe, 10 days, and we actually made close to $80,000 on it. So the math kind of, once we can fill that, and with the 3O firefighting staff, our current rates for this coming summer, just for instance, say a Type 1 rig, which is what's similar to what we just purchased, we'd have a backup Type 1. Let's say we get a request that says, hey, we need you to respond now. We'd be able to take our 3 firefighters or a captain that's already on the rig for shift. They're ready to go, they get in it, they go. We can actually say, hey, we're ready to go. 60 minutes, you're gone. We tone out the volunteers, get a volunteer to come in, or somebody that's off shift. And we say, that's the agreement with the folks that we have right now is, if we go out of county, whoever's off duty comes in, covers the station. So if we send a Type 1 engine, it's $173 an hour. And for the personnel on the rig, you're looking at $71 an hour for a captain. And for our fighter fighters, it's $44.76 an hour. Once they leave, they're on the clock 24/7. So, like Dan says, that extra $30,000, the $40,000 that we have to come up with, we potentially can make that in the first week of a good fire if we send somebody out of the area. So, plus if we have our seasonals, which makes it easier. 3 seasonals that are doing a lot of code enforcement and weed abatement, they're already working during the day when we normally get these calls to go on a fire. We can actually put 4 people on that truck and go. And once you start adding 4 folks on a Type 1 rig, we'll get the initial call from Sacramento to go if we have that capability. And what we do is we let the OES chief, Silas, locally know, hey, we're available with this type of rig. This is how many bodies we can give you. So if something kicks off, we'll get that call first this time around. And that's what we're hoping to do. And it helps even locally. If a major incident kicks off and we have more people that can get on that rig or a secondary rig and help out.
Anything else from you guys? Is there anything else you want to do?
Yeah, I think so. I just want to add that with the proposed org chart, there have been some items that have previously been approved by the City Council that are kind of more cleanups, and I listed those in the staff report. And so some of them are title changes. So recently we reclassified an account tech 2 to the assistant director of finance, the assistant to the city manager to the deputy city manager, the city administrator to the city manager. So we're catching a lot of these changes. We also approved 2 corporal specialty assignment positions at the police department. In August of 2024, the council approved those. Part-time seasonal firefighters as well, and some title changes within the public works department. So we organize them here by department in the staff report, just so that the council and the public can see, what those previously approved changes were. So in the org chart that is proposed, we've got those title changes addressed. For example, you'll see the deputy city manager over here was previously the assistant to the city manager, and we're pulling the golf course basically underneath that particular position. So then it gives the city manager position the span of control where there's essentially five direct reports, or 6. I see 6 there, where it was 7, right? And so that's kind of the gist of it.
Okay. So for clarification, you would be asking us to consider moving forward with the changes based on the fact that you're going to develop a side letter with firefighters, you're going to meet and confer with the police department. Did I get all that right?
That is correct, yeah,
Okay.
and I should probably talk a little bit about the side letter for the firefighters and what that might look like, because the proposal, and the meet and confer process is valuable for a lot of reasons, but our staff, work every day, doing their jobs, and they have a unique perspective on, how things can be improved. And so, like I mentioned earlier, this restructure of the fire department is coming from the firefighters unit primarily. And one of the other components of it is we currently have the 2 firefighter positions that we carry. I guess there's 3. So we have 3 shifts at the fire department. We have 1 firefighter on each shift and 1 captain on each shift, right? But the firefighters could be firefighter 1s, firefighter 2s, or engineers, right? So we have that position, which we call it flexibly staffed. So based on experience and credentialing, any one of those firefighters can climb up into those other, firefighter 2 or engineer positions. So that's in the current MOU. So the side letter would basically say, okay, we're going to have 3 firefighter 1-2s and 3 engineers. So we're taking the flexibly staffed, basically designation, and we're taking the engineer out of that flexibly staffed position. So that's the side letter. So what would be the case then is if we had a firefighter 1 or a firefighter 2 position filled, and say an engineer, we had 3 engineers filled, the engineer became vacant, that would be the only way a firefighter 1-2 could promote into an engineer slot as if there was a vacancy. So that's what the proposal would be.
Okay. I know I asked a clarifying question. You guys have any? I'm supposed to go last. I just spurred it out. Sorry.
There's a good question.
Oh, thank you. Nobody?
No, I just think it's a,
I'm sorry.
I really like the change, especially if it means that our employees or staff can be more engaged on the public safety side of things, and then also creatively find ways to add revenue to support firefighters' pay. So appreciate all the work you guys did on it.
Okay, is that it, Council? Okay, public, any questions or comments on this item? Okay, everything's quiet so far. Okay, back up here, you guys, is there any discussion on this item? Anything you want to discuss? Okay, Mr. Newton, wondering if you have clear, direction? Probably not, because we didn't even talk.
Yeah, the direction would be, for one, we wanted to present it to the council. We talked about it at previous meetings, but never really presented it in full. And so now that you've seen it, we just are looking for direction if you'd like us to move forward. And, with the side letter, we meet and confer with the police officers. We would bring it back for approval, and it would include, as a companion item, updating our approved position list. And so the approved position list that the council approves is what really allows us to fill the vacancies, right? And so that's what we would bring forward at a future meeting for the council to approve. The side letter, and the approved position list, and the org chart itself.
Okay.
So, would you like us to proceed?
We would have results from meeting and conferring with the police.
Yeah, so the meet and confer process doesn't necessarily require council action, but there may be something that comes out of it that might result in a change of the proposed approach, and so that's just something that we need to do and talk to the units and get their input.
Okay, sounds good. All right, council. Anything else? We're ready to move
Yeah, I'm
forward.
okay with moving forward. I think it adds staff, it keeps them engaged and keeps their skills sharp if they're attending and actively working on out-of-area fires and has revenue, so it sounds pretty good all around.
Everybody likes it
Excellent.
up here, okay? So now you have your direction. So we're gonna move on then. We're gonna move on to item 9D. Item 9D is to consider resolution number 25-6419, and this is Bob Gottman, our Public Works Director.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is to consider resolution number 25-6419, terminating airport ground lease with ID Doc Blevins and approving new airport ground lease agreement with Justin Safeart for hangar number 32 at the Susanville Municipal Airport. On March 5th, the City Council was presented with the option of purchasing hangar 32, which is owned by Doc Blevins, for the amount of $105,000. Council declined the purchase. So Doc Blevins identified a buyer of this hangar and sold the hangar to Justin Safeart. Justin has taken possession of hangar 32 and is required to execute a new airport ground lease agreement for that hangar. Fiscal impact is the annual ground lease rent, subject to terms of the lease agreement. And we're asking for a motion to approve resolution number 25-6419, terminating airport ground lease with Doc Blevins and approving a new airport ground lease agreement with Justin Safeart for hangar number 32 at the Susanville Municipal Airport.
Okay, thank you. Council, any clarifying questions? No? Okay, public questions or comments? All right, then, is there a motion to approve this?
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, then, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? That motion carried unanimously. Okay, next we're moving on to a discussion regarding our proclamations and flag policy. And that's Dan Newton, our city manager again.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. The council directed staff to place this item on the agenda for discussion. It was last year that the council placed a moratorium on proclamations for a period of 1 year. So I believe that was in June of last year. So we are coming up on that, actually it was in May of last year. So we're coming up on that date, and it's time to kind of probably have that discussion brought up again as to what the council would like us to do and moving forward regarding potentially a policy or continuance of the moratorium. And in addition to that, Councilmember Parrish asked about flag raising policies. There are a lot of cities that do have policies on which flags they would fly, and so it does come up from time to time. And it is probably easier to deal with this particular item because I think it does sometimes cause some of our constituent citizens during particular events or times to be very passionate about the item. And so if we could have something in place, it would help us in the future if requests come in for either proclamations or raising particular flags. In the past, we've basically brought these items to council on an individual basis and gotten direction, but we've never implemented a policy. So anyway, that's the brief report, and I'll just turn it over to council for discussion and potentially direction.
Thank you. You guys have any clarifying questions right now on this? Okay.
Well, has Margaret worked on any of this? I know we kind of talked about her looking at.
Yeah, I don't believe so. Margaret is on. Margaret, can you hear me?
I can, thank you.
Yes, Councilmember Bortle asked a question on this item. Have you done any work on a potential policy to this point?
You know, when this came up a year ago, we started the process, but there's been nothing formally developed. But we are, more than happy to assist in getting that going.
Okay. Thank you, Margaret. All right. Nothing else public? They're already calling you guys. Don't have you checked off yet. Okay. So back to council for discussion. Council. Who wants to start?
I'll start.
Okay.
Can everyone hear me? After years of, basically a year of no proclamation, we all survived. We all moved forward. We got to, especially coming from a major election, we got to kind of just stay out of all of that, whatever was going on. The staff, we were able to focus on city business. We still have really nothing in writing, so it's case by case, where we were having some people have proclamations read and some weren't, which I was, like I said before, was leaving the city up to possible lawsuits. So I'm of the mind to just put something in writing where we just say we don't have proclamations. We all survived, and it saves this council, future council, potential just division within the city. There was a gentleman last year and several other people who stood at the podium and they basically said their own proclamations. And I think it was more powerful for individual residents to have their own proclamations and say what they want to say than having government do it. We just read it and then say we go on to the next issue. So I would say leave this government out of those issues and have the people speak for themselves.
She want to make it a permanent thing, do away with the moratorium and the policy to say
we're out. We have the people talking. I think it's more impactful for the people to talk than government to talk for.
Now, currently we have, I'm sorry, we currently have veterans and military. Did you want to take those out as well?
Well, I don't believe we did that last year. Or we didn't do that this year.
We did the veterans.
We did?
The veterans, yeah.
I thought,
Yeah.
Okay, I don't remember that.
Oh my goodness, it was so good, I read it.
I remember the gentleman come up here.
It was raining that day too.
I went and spoke there too.
I
read it to him.
I would say, and this kind of goes into the flag, I still would say having someone who is a veteran or to speak for themselves, I just think it means a lot more. And with the flags, I would say we should put something in writing where we only hang United States flag, California flag, and 6 branches of the military, and that's it. I think we can all kind of get together and rally around that, and there's no taking sides. And this is covering us from any potential future hot button issues. That's on social media or wherever. We're here to govern the city, not get into hot topic issues and social issues and stuff. That's not us.
Okay.
That's
Anyone
all.
else?
Yeah, I mean, I think if we're gonna do that, it probably needs to be like right? Like, I'm a veteran, and so it's always nice to have the city like read a proclamation during Veterans Day. I'm only making that point because legally is that, you know, the way federal law is, veteran status is a protected class. And so the concern is that if we don't do proclamations for anybody except for veterans, you know, we could be subjecting ourselves to potential litigation for giving proclamations to one protected class and not the rest of them. So I think from a liability standpoint, that's probably the safest way to go. That's based on my understanding of the law. Margaret could probably tell us better about that, but that's the way I understand it.
Yeah, Margaret. How do you feel, Mayor Pro Tem?
I think I'm on board with what Councilmember Parrish has said and Bortle. I think we can just put it in writing and make it permanent.
Okay.
And I agree with what they proposed.
Okay.
I agree too.
Okay. So I'll tell you what happens, and this just happened to me. So we used to do a proclamation on child abuse. And this is what happened. So we didn't do one this year. And so the organization who is doing a walk a mile to bring awareness, they called me and just asked me to come and say something. So then we can still do things like that are not formal proclamations. We can go as a city and say, you know, thank our veterans at the Veterans Day, or, you know, whatever. But I think that the mayor should always run that past the whole council, because I know that the mayor position is the face of it, but I just always ask them how they feel about it. But we might want to consider that someday too. Because you don't want to have a mayor just run out there doing stuff without running. I think it's,
Yeah, I mean,
just
like,
because I'm the chair doesn't mean anything.
you're kind of like formally representing the
Right, I'm
council
supposed to
at
be
that
the
point.
face of you guys and make you guys all look good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you do a great job.
Well, thank you, sir.
I do want to tell the residents, if it's the way the city council's going, is not to say you can't speak. I encourage residents to use your platform to speak if you want to say something, as far as your own proclamation, as far as whatever it is, as long as it's not inciting violence, to come up and speak. It's your time. You have the right as a citizen to do that. We don't want a position where you bring us something and the city says no, but we say it for someone else. We want it to be fair. And that's why I don't want to ever limit or feel that as though someone's speech is being limited. I want it to give the power of speech back to the people. I don't want government to pick and choose who gets to speak or who's represented or who's not. Now, as far as the flags, I'm not sure if this is the right time to discuss it, but how do we implement, let's just say it's the Army, and it's Army month. Can we request for the city to raise the Army flag or Navy flag, or is it just if they, like, how do we do that? How do we honor them?
Is there an armed forces flag?
I don't
United States of America.
So like each
Yeah, that one.
or you celebrate,
Good point.
the Marine's birthday, or maybe Dan can answer that.
They do have their each individual flags, sort of point of clarification, that have various, symbolism on the flags. But as far as flying them, I mean, I'm sure every Marine would love if we flew the Marine's flag on their birthday. See, our head back there, give me a-
Is that something we automatically do, or?
No, I don't think, I'm not aware.
Or
Dan,
could we do that?
Could we do that?
No, we can, but we don't do that, so, or we haven't. And then the council can direct staff to, do whatever is legal and ethical for us to do, right? And so, yeah, absolutely, it can be done. I would ask probably our attorney, similarly along the lines of Councilmember Bortle's concern, or are we opening ourselves up to any kind of exposure liability-wise by, allowing some flags to be raised that aren't, maybe the typical or traditional flags. But yeah, just to get kind of that legal opinion, but, if it's legal, I think we can basically, by resolution, create a policy, and the policy can contain some specifics as to when we would raise, specific military flags. Yeah, we can handle it in a number of different ways.
I do think it's best to just stick with the US flag. I mean, if we're kind of in the territory of like, we're not gonna mix it up with the proclamations, I think that's probably safe territory to stick to as far as what goes on the flagpole.
So just
Old Glory is fine up on the flagpole. I think everybody can unite around that. I think the idea of the United States as a nation, guaranteeing all those civil liberties and all those rights and things that people fight for, I think that as a standard and as a symbol to represent those ideas is sufficient.
and the California flag now?
If we want, we can do the California flag. I mean, I would support the California flag as well because we're in the state of California and that's the governing entity that dictates our laws and our regulations. But if we wanted to be really neutral, we could just stick to red, white, blue.
Yeah, we currently fly the California flag and the United States flag.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay. So here's what I think. And how do you guys feel about the military? Actually, I didn't talk to you two about it. What do you think? Patrick, do you think?
But it does kind of make sense, just those two, and we're not changing them all the time, so.
And then we have the mine too.
Yeah.
Councilmember Bordeaux does bring up a good point.
Okay.
I mean, that's the way that I've always identified with it, and I'm sure other military members would agree with me. I mean, it's like the stars and stripes are the effective symbol that represent those concepts and ideologies. If we really want to just be kind of down to the, as neutral as we can possibly be, as unbiased as we can possibly be. I mean, that's the symbol that is supposed to represent all people. I mean, they talk about race, background, creed, gender, sexual, like whatever all the protected speeches and all the protected classes are. I mean, that really is the symbol that embodies those concepts and ideologies.
And I would say just having those two flags up there, and I would say that.
Just those two, okay. So your direction is to move forward, right? You guys stop me if I'm wrong, and move forward with writing a policy regarding proclamations and flags, and just no proclamations, California and Old Glory, that's it.
Got it.
Right?
Yeah, and so what I'm thinking is we have when we do a policy, we have a standard policy template that we use, right? And it contains, we do that because typically it contains quite a bit of detailed information. I think in this case, we probably could have a policy by resolution. Like, so if the council is okay, we can just bring back a resolution that contains the information that you want it as far as the direction and what we're going to be doing. If that's okay, I would propose bringing back a resolution.
Okay, sure.
Would that suffice, given that proclamations are an item listed on the agenda?
Yeah, we might. Yeah, I think what we would need to do to remove that from the agenda, that would be an ordinance, because that agenda format is codified in our municipal code. And so we would address the, am I right, Heidi, is that?
I want to say yes.
We would look at that.
I just need to
Okay.
see if proclamation specifically is listed in
I
the.
guess maybe that can come back.
If it's not codified, then we would just modify our agenda. Yeah. But either way, we can handle it. It's just.
Interesting.
Okay, so my job is to make sure you're good. And you're good.
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
All right, so then we will move on to all the way to number 13, which is department reports. We'll begin with Jolene Ardondo, our deputy. I have the wrong title on my notes. You know, the deputy. And then off with Jan Newton, our city manager. So you guys go ahead.
Teresa's still here, so this might be a little premature, but the city and LMUD have been talking about collaborative ways that we could use Susanville Click and Fix, our app, for what we are playing around with the title of Light Up the Night. So that is basically, currently right now we have a street light request category in Susanville Click and Fix. Take a picture of a street light when it's out, but the city doesn't fix those. So we're inviting LMUD into our app, and we're trying to do the campaign that will also add users, but then also collaborate with LMUD. So we're sharing our app. So we're working that out, but that's a fun new thing that we're going to be rolling out hopefully this month. Soon. So that's an exciting new thing that we are doing together. Mostly the Public Works Department is helping with that, but I'll steal Bob's thunder there. And then after this last storm, we were going to open last week at the golf course, but we're not. So we're shooting for Saturday. Fingers crossed. It'll be probably a little wet, but I think we have some eager golfers. So, and then as of today, we had 33 total annual members, and we've got 15 tournaments on the books for this year.
Oh, wow.
So,
Good.
and counting, I think. That's it for me.
Okay, let's see, our billboards went up. That's super exciting, and not all of them. The digital ones went up at midnight yesterday, and those are located by the, I keep asking it, I call it GSR, Grand Sierra in Reno. And they'll be on both sides, and so they sent me pictures. They look great. And this weekend coming up, they're having a volleyball tournament in Reno, and it's going to bring in over 100,000 people. So it's good timing. And what else? I've got, another exciting thing. Things are coming in. Projects are coming in. I have 4 sitting on my desk right now that I'm working on. Still working on the beef project. And so that's another exciting thing. And still working on our new website. That's still on target for May. And I think that's about it. Okay. Thank you.
Do you have the pictures?
Yeah, I'd like to see
Yes.
it.
I don't know, is it in my email?
I can send.
Give me a second. I'll bring it up. I don't know what's in my emails. Everybody's reading.
It's literally as you right in here, so it's gonna be at the top.
I guess I didn't. Alright, I guess this is what it's gonna be. We can see that hopefully.
Okay, then, yeah, if you just go to the bottom, I think. There we go, there's one of them. Take a picture of it. Who's that? So, yeah, we went with 2 different versions. One's like a postcard, the other one was the bike lane for the trails.
And then Tamara, would you talk about discoversusanville.com a little bit?
Yeah, so right now, Jeremy Cuso is working on a page that we put on our website. So with the website up on our billboards, people can access information on our tourism, what we have here, our parks and so forth, and museum. And we do have a page that is accessible with discoversusanville.com. And that's what we'll be putting on our new website too.
Sounds good. Those look good.
So council often, I mean, all the time they get the project in the beginning projects. So you guys always see when we're going to do a project, but we rarely come back and say that things are done. So the Rio project that we had over on Hospital Lane has been done. It looks really good. Huey Enterprises did a great job on it, so that's all in the books. The walk the mile is on the 12th at Memorial Park. I think it starts at 11 to 3. Don't quote me on that. You might have to look it up somewhere. But it's a super fun time to go out and support the people who've been abused sexually or had sexual violence. And they do the color walk, so they throw it's cornstarch that's all the bright colors, but it's a super fun event to go to. And then today, I was in a meeting with Caltrans, and they're preparing what's called a project initiation document. So this is the very first step that Caltrans does when they're doing a project. And this project would be on Ash Street, which is Highway 139, from the 0 mile to 0.74 mile, which is Chestnut Street. And then it would go on actually to the college in their proposal, because they're proposing to put a Class 1 bike and pedestrian pathway from Main Street to Chestnut, and then it would be from Chestnut to Skyline, it would just be regular bike lanes that they would delineate on the road, and then from Skyline to the college, it would go back to the Class 1 pedestrian bike path. So they just wanted me to let you guys know that that project is in the upcoming. Like I say, this is the very initial part of the project, which is the project initiation document, and they are looking for 2030 or 2031 to construct the project.
Good evening. Pretty much still the same, same types of things. So insurance renewals, slowly getting all of those taken care of. Lots of interviews, it seems like, lately, and still have more tomorrow. And then, let's see, working on, I was made aware of an assembly bill that passed 2651, where we have to have a public hearing before our budget's adopted, related to employee vacancies. So I'm putting that together, so, yeah. Oh, and training, because I now have somebody upstairs. Good for you.
Yeah, not a lot new to report tonight. Budget season is upon us. All the department heads put the requests in to me. Were due last week, so now it's whittling them down to needs versus wants sort of thing. So we're in that fun process, but it's looking okay so far. And then, yeah, the only other new thing we had a new employee start last week, so we're back up to our normal staffing levels, but you know, training is ensuing, so be patient with our new face in there, because she's learning the ropes, but other than that, status quo.
Okay, thank you.
Make it short and sweet for you.
Okay.
Start with the fire department. We want to kill a rumor real quick that we heard that a lot of the folks are thinking if we go to trio staffing that we're going to get rid of our volunteers. Far from that. No way. We need our volunteers to volunteer fire department. Always been that way, will always have. Which is kind of neat, because right now we're sitting on 5 applicants in the last couple of weeks that want to join as volunteers. So they've been coming in, meeting the folks. We'll get some background started on them and get them in there as quick as we can. And there's in fact actually a lot more that are interested, because we're kind of tweaking the rules a little bit. There's actually some Forest Service folks, BLM folks, and CAL FIRE folks that are full-time employees with their respective agencies that want to come over and be volunteers with us as well. So we'll definitely gobble them up. The PD side, we've got one open position for police officer. We're doing interviews tomorrow morning. So hopefully, once we get done interviewing the candidates, we'll see if they're a good fit, and we'll move forward. We'll see how that works out tomorrow. And that's it.
Okay, thank you, great.
Okay, a couple things. I just wanted to report that last night, Councilmember Bortle and I went on the radio. We have a standing Tuesday night time slot that we coincide with our meeting date. So the Tuesday before each meeting, on Wednesday, we will go to the radio, and the council members have been rotating with me, so thank you for that. Last night we gave an update on the St. Francis as well as the truck stop or the travel stop project. We also talked about the Performing Arts Center a little bit. And there were some questions from one of the hosts on the radio, and we always try to remind folks about our meeting times and also how to access our meeting content on our website. We are currently still working on our new website that we hope to launch in May, and so we're pretty close to that launch date. I think we're on schedule, right, Tamara? And so that will kind of change the layout of our website quite a bit, but hopefully it's more user-friendly for our folks to access. The content is pretty much going to be the same right now, but we'll have the ability to modify the content as we do now with our current website. St. Francis also wanted to provide the council an update on that. We, myself, Director Godman, our building official, and our Assistant Director of Engineering were on the site yesterday. We toured it with our asbestos, actually our hazardous material consultant. And so we were talking about the hazardous materials that are present and how to move forward with the abatement. We are going to need a qualified asbestos contractor to do a significant portion of that work. So we're looking at procurement methodologies, working with our city attorney, that we can do due to the fact that the debris is in a pile. Not all of it, is hazardous, so it's going to need to be sifted and sorted. So our consultant is currently working on a set of bid documents for some outreach to some qualified contractors. So that process is underway. Hopefully we'll be moving that forward fairly quickly. The information, unfortunately, is that the materials that are present are going to probably increase the cost of the abatement significantly. So once we get quotes in, we'll be better able to assess what our options are at that point. So still one of our top priorities, but we could have gotten better news about the content of the material that's there. So anyway, but I think that's it. Are there any questions?
Any questions, Chris?
Did we make any offers to new planners that we interviewed?
We did not.
All right.
We did not.
Okay. Then that's it. We'll move to item 14A. Item 14A is future council items. Council, any future council items this evening? Nothing. We have nothing up here, so our next meeting is April 16th, and I'm looking for a motion to adjourn. Okay, have a motion in a second.
Thank you, Margaret.
Good night, everyone. Thanks for coming.